So I'm getting ready to play uh, War of the Worlds, and there's some setup. It's going to be a little bit hard to solo because there's some hidden information. There's the Martian attack table, which isn't really hidden. That's just the table for the Martian player when he makes attacks. And at the beginning of the game, the Martian player, there's 6 of these human attack tables. There's 6 of them, and each one will list the different unit types. The human player has infantry, cav, and artillery. If an artillery is attacking by itself, you use this line. You roll 3 dice, and if the total of the 3 dice are equal to any of these numbers, that's a hit. If you have a cavalry unit and an artillery unit attacking together, if you roll any of those numbers, it's a hit. So the Martian player picks one of these tables and keeps it hidden from the human player. So the human really doesn't know what he's going to hit on. And even when he scores a hit with a unit, he really doesn't know how his other units are going to work together. I guess you could deduce some, maybe most of these numbers if you're like really smart, like Enrico is, but I'd never be able to do it. But I also don't want to keep it out for me to be able to look at, because I'll be tempted to look and coordinate my attacks that give me the better numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to every attack I make, well, maybe every turn I'll declare my attacks, and then I'll pick randomly. I'll just randomly pick one, and I'll use what's on this one. The next turn I'll mix them all back together and then randomly pick another one. It changes my values from turn to turn, but it also keeps me from knowing what those values are every turn, and I don't really see any big problem with it. Actually make it a little bit more fun. These other cards are the human deployment text charts. There's 6 of these, I believe, and the human player picks one of these and keeps it hidden from the Martian player. And all this is it tells you which hexes your reinforcements will show up at. You want to keep this hidden from the Martian player because you don't want him surrounding those hexes or otherwise prohibiting you from being able to bring in reinforcements. But there's really no easy way around keeping this information secret from myself. So what I'm going to do is I'll just pick one of these and use it throughout the game, and try my best not to pay too much attention to it as the Martian player. Try not to make it be an important factor in anything that I'm trying to do as the Martian player. We'll see how it goes. I'm just trying to have fun with this game. The humans start with 6 units, 2 of each type, 2 artillery, 2 cavalry, and 2 infantry. Placed a unit here, cavalry unit here on the edge, maybe, so he has all this open terrain he can sweep around in. Got an artillery unit here, some infantry in the middle of the city on this strategic bridge. Infantry here, cavalry here again to maybe make use of this open terrain, and another artillery up here. These are rail lines. They let your your units move a hell of a lot quicker than otherwise, but that those rail lines can be destroyed by the Martians, so they can cut the rail lines. The Martian player scores points by destroying city hexes. When they destroy a city hex, go ahead and I'll place one of them destroyed markers on there. And the Martian player wants to get 125 points. You get so many points for destroyed cities. I think it's 1. And you get points for destroyed, I believe, human units. You get different points for different things, but the Martian player wants to get 125 points by the end of the game, and in order for the humans to win, they just have to keep the Martian player from getting 125 points. what else did I want to talk about? Oh, at the beginning of the game, the Martians get these landing pods, which is simply a black rectangle on a counter. But you get 10 of those landing pods, and on each of these 10 landing pods are 3 tripods that will come out of each landing pod. So at the beginning of the game, the Martian player writes down, you land 1 pod per turn for the first 10 turns. And you write down your turn number and which hex you want that pod to land in. You can't change this once it's written down. And you land 1 pod per turn, and I believe, how long is the game? I was just reading that. Where in the world did I have that? How to win the game. It's at the end of 12 turns, the game's over. So you only have 2 turns after you land your last tripod to try to burn down as much shit as you can. Here's the how to win. The Martian player receives 1 point for each undestroyed cylinder, which were those landing pods I was talking about, 3 points for each undestroyed tripod, and 1 point for each city hex destroyed. He does not receive any points for destroyed railroad hexes, unless they are also city hexes. So there's only 2 turns after the last tripod lands. So the Martian player is not going to have all of this available at the beginning of the game. He's going to get his stuff in piecemeal. But the human player, well, he doesn't have a whole lot of counter mix either. I don't think he gets a lot of stuff. There are 3 optional naval units, which I'm going to use. They can only stay on this great big major river. It goes all the way up to this bridge. It looks like on the other side of this bridge it turns into a minor river. So the naval units have to stay more or less in London, and they act a little bit differently than the other human units do. When you roll the dice, you hit, if it's in the same space as the naval unit, you hit on a 1, 2, or 3. If it's 1 space away, you hit on a 1 or 2. And that's basically how to play. There are, terrain costs for the different types of terrain. Railroad movement is a big deal. There's lots of railroads on the map. So we're going to start, and we start with the Martian landing. And my first hex is hex 0718. I'm going to grab a landing pod, or whatever they're called. Put 3 tripods on it. And I'm going to place it on hex 0718. Which is right here. So my thinking by landing them here on the first turn is it's pretty far away from any human units, and I can get a start on destroying city hexes by wiping this little village out here, and then I got other directions I can go to hit other things. So that's where the first pod's going to land. Now the humans can't attack the Martians until the Martians become hostile. And the Martians don't become hostile until, I think it's only until after they attack something. I gotta look for it. can't find it right now. It's taking me too long. But I'll get back to that and explain that to you. So, but this is where I'm going to sign off before I actually start playing.